The Resilience Across Borders podcast is intended for education, support, and inspiration. I am not a psychologist or a medical doctor and do not offer any professional, medical, or health advice. If you are dealing with or suffering from any psychological or medical conditions, please seek help from a qualified health professional. Hello and welcome back to Resilience Across Borders podcast. I am your host, Rashid Zahidi, and in today's episode, we will touch on how to recognize warning signs in relationships, whether they be romantic or professional. As we know, entering any kind of relationship, whether romantic or professional, requires careful consideration and assessment. That's why they're called relationships, because they're supposed to go on for a while. However, it's essential to recognize potential red flags early on to prevent future conflicts or disappointments or getting into the wrong type of relationships and getting entangled in the wrong relationship where it becomes really difficult to get out. Anyways, in this episode, we'll explore strategies for identifying warning signs in people being considered for relationships of any kind, along with practical examples or uses for each strategy. So number one, pay attention to communication patterns. Example, in a romantic relationship, consistent communication is key. If a potential partner frequently cancels plans, responds infrequently to messages, or avoids discussing important topics, it may indicate a lack of commitment or a lack of interest. Similarly, in a professional setting, unreliable communication from a colleague or business partner can hinder collaboration and productivity. You need reliability, you need that consistency. If you don't hear back from the person for days, or sometimes they respond right away, sometimes it's whatever. Once the point that you need them is passed or 3 days later, who knows? Again, it's about getting on the same page with expectations as well as boundaries, and also it's important to have consequences. It's important to take action if this doesn't meet your criteria, because without the consequences, then you just keep repeating the same things, right? So number two, trust your gut instinct. Example, trusting your intuition can often lead to uncovering red flags that may not be immediately obvious. If someone feels off or doesn't sit right with you, take the time to explore those feelings further. Don't brush them off or give excuses on someone else's behalf that don't hold water or that don't make sense. In other words, don't rationalize too much or don't rationalize on their behalf. Whether it's a potential, again, romantic partner who seems overly secretive or a job candidate who gives vague or evasive responses during the conversation or during the interview. Listening to your instincts can help you avoid potential pitfalls. Your gut instinct and unconscious mind have been learning all the lessons and sharpening the sensors that is part of that intuition and gut check that you've developed. So don't override it or discount it easily. Number three, observe how they handle conflict and how they handle challenges. So how an individual responds to adversity can reveal a lot about their character and reveal a lot about their temperament. In a romantic relationship, for example, pay attention to how your partner reacts during disagreements or conflicts. Are they able to communicate calmly and rationally, or do they resort to aggression? Do they resort to manipulation? Similarly, in a professional context, observe how a colleague or potential business partner handles challenging situations, disagreements, or setbacks. Do they take responsibility for their actions and work towards finding solutions, or do they blame others and avoid accountability? Because we all make mistakes, of course, sometimes make the wrong decisions too, or maybe offend without meaning to. The difference is the self-awareness and willingness to recognize, the willingness to admit, the willingness to apologize, the willingness to be willing to do better next time. Number 4, assess consistency in behavior. Consistency is crucial in building trust and reliability in any relationship. So pay attention to whether a person's actions align with their words over time. You cannot connect with someone who is disconnected from themselves or prefers to change the narrative or even the story they tell themselves just to avoid responsibility. For instance, if a romantic partner promises to make changes or improvements but fails to follow through consistently, it may indicate a lack of sincerity, it may indicate a lack of commitment. Similarly, inconsistencies in a colleague's behavior or work ethic can raise concerns about their reliability and their professionalism. Number 5, look for signs of manipulation or control. This again comes up in both personal and professional relationships. It's essential to be aware of signs of manipulation or control. This can include subtle behaviors such as guilt tripping, gaslighting, or exerting undue influence over decision making. For instance, a romantic partner who constantly undermines your self-esteem or belittles your accomplishments may be displaying manipulative behavior. Similarly, a colleague who tries to exert control over your work or undermines your contributions may not have your best interest at heart. So, to sum up or in conclusion, recognizing red flags in people being considered for relationships of any kind is an important skill that can help protect your well-being and help you avoid unnecessary conflicts or hardships. By paying attention to communication patterns, trusting your instincts, observing how individuals handle conflict or challenges, assessing consistency in behavior, and looking for signs of manipulation or control, you can make more informed decisions about who to invest your time and energy in altogether before it's too late. So remember that while everyone has flaws, it's essential to prioritize relationships built on mutual respect, trust, and compatibility. As always, thank you for tuning into the Resilience Across Borders podcast. If you are enjoying this podcast and finding it helpful to you, please pick up a copy of the companion journal by yours truly called Emogym on Amazon, Emogym. You can recognize it when the author is Rashid Zahidi. And you can follow the blog posts as well and new episodes as they get added at this URL at resilience.com, ATRESILIENCE.com. Remember to be kind to yourself and be kind to others and stay resilient.